We have a lot to discuss in this video, but first I want to make a very special announcement. I got a new microphone. It is probably the best gift I have ever received. I did want to thank you for the crazy support you guys have been giving me already. I started this channel, a few weeks ago, and you guys have been smashing that like button, and I can't thank you enough for it. So I just appreciate every single one of you so much. But anyways, let's get into it because we have a lot to discuss here. So most of you may recognize the name James Cameron from the Avatar films, and while those are great movies, they still do not compare to the classics. Terminator 1 and 2 are fantastic films down to the cinematography, the soundtrack, and the performances. Both of them are considered iconic for a reason. We don't talk about what happens after them. Now, you may be asking yourself, based on the title of this video, which one is better? I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. This is a very difficult question for me to answer. Terminator 1, starring Linda Hamilton, Michael Biehn, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, starts us off with Sarah Connor living her normal life, which quickly gets disrupted when she suspects she's getting followed by a man who ends up saving her life. The story progresses to a romantic horror-like adventure story with Kyle and Sarah on the run, slowly but surely falling in love with each other. I saw this movie way younger than I was supposed to, but I still loved it because it was so easy to get hooked on. The entire movie revolves around Sarah and Kyle's relationship. Watching her go from scared of him to overall falling for him because she's put in a situation where she really is forced to trust him is kind of beautiful in a weird way. And watching Kyle go from this closed off and soldier-like mentality to falling in love with her was really exciting too. And the more they grow closer, the higher the stakes are, because you don't want anything bad to happen to either of them. Now, this is one of the few movies where the bad guy is used for all of the promotion that went towards this movie, and for good fucking reason. He has hardly any lines in this film, but he didn't need to say a lot. The movie shows me what I needed to see. Less is more. Arnold also comes across very creepy in the movie. The lighting cues and the straight faces is all really off-putting.
You should be off-putting. Because you're fat. You shouldn't eat any more pudding.
Yeah.
To the point where, it genuinely makes you fear for Sarah and Kyle's life. You can picture yourself in this situation. This only builds tension, and that to me says the movie did its job. 8-year-old me was scared shitless, and 11 years later, nothing has changed. I can't exactly say the same thing about the second one, and that is not a bad thing. I wasn't as scared as I was stressed watching the second film. The movie starts us off introducing a completely new and transformed Sarah Connor. You have to take a double take, is that really her? She loses Reese in the first movie, and somewhere between the films, she just goes completely off the rails. At least that's what most people say about her, including her own son, who still thinks she's absolutely batshit crazy. I mean, who could blame her, really? But you see, the point of all this is they're sending Terminators from the future to kill Sarah before her unborn child, John, leads the humanity's resistance against the machines of the future. And you know something? If I had told somebody the entire plot before they watched the movie, I don't think they would want to see it. It sounds insane. But that's exactly why these movies work so well, because of the direction that it took. The director is the main reason these movies work so well. If this movie was directed by anyone else, it would feel wrong. Anyone else could have directed this and fucked it up. They did in fact fuck these movies up after T2. Though I will say, I don't have anything negative to say about Dark Fate. The movie worked fine, but it wasn't anything special like the first two. And this could have been because it's coming out now and it didn't come out in the 80s, which is my best guess, but other than that, I think Dark Fate worked pretty decent for me. But anyways, we're getting off topic. Actually, I would be completely willing to make a video on Dark Fate. If you guys want to see that, just let me know, and I will do it. But anyways, since the Terminator failed in number 1 to kill Sarah, her son, he's here, and he's getting ready to run a revolution, even though he's stealing shit and committing, petty theft. But, he's going to rule the world in the future, we gotta fucking get rid of him. But since John is here, round 2. So they send a more advanced Terminator to kill John, and Arnold returns as the good guy. If I can be honest for a second, I think this is the most genius way to make a sequel. It changes all of the characters drastically without changing who they fundamentally are. The T-800 is still a killing machine, but it's programmed to protect rather than kill. Sarah went from being scared and vulnerable, and now she's paranoid, yet stronger. But her core motivation, keeping John safe, never changes once. Cameron puts a twist on everyone's character while keeping all of their core values. John's character is really interesting to me because he goes from being portrayed as this rotten kid who hates his foster parents and his real mom, to growing to understand why Sarah is the way that she is. I mean, he's essentially forced to get it, given the situation. I really love how the new antagonist is a newer model that's liquid metal. I mean, who comes up with this shit? It makes sense that they do this because we now have Arnold on our side and a woman with a gun. Once Arnold finds John, it happens to be the same time the T-1000 does, so they just have it out until Arnold's character eventually wins. So the rest of the movie's plot relies on destroying all the work and research at Cybergiant Systems to stop Judgment Day. Once Sarah sees a flashback of that day, she visits Tyson herself.
I'm not gonna let you do it.
Seriously, get this woman an Oscar. As the movie goes on, John and Arnold grow closer. They're clearly going for a father-son dynamic. Even Sarah's little speech describe it perfectly, especially with John having the grow up without Reese. It really tugs on your heartstrings, which makes the ending that much more heartbreaking. This scene had me in a chokehold as a kid. You guys have no idea. This is enough to make a grown man cry. It's also worth mentioning there were 2 major deaths in each movie, and I like this because it shows me that the characters are expendable. They really don't have this insane plot armor. There was never a moment where I was watching and I was like, yeah, he would be dead. I'd also love to touch on Sarah Connor's character development. I think it's the most drastic shift in a sequel for its time. I can't imagine sitting in the theater and seeing my girl again looking like this. In the first film, she's practically a scared little girl relying on Reese to get out of this horrible situation. She goes from biting Reese to knowing how to shoot a fucking gun. She starts off as an ordinary person, just a waitress with a roommate, and she is then told she has an unborn child who will one day save humanity. But she doesn't go from zero to hero. She becomes brave because she has no choice, and that is the most human thing. And by the end of the movie, she learns nobody is coming to save her. She has to become stronger for the future. Most sequels would have made her the same character, but just a little bit tougher. But what would really happen to someone who knew an apocalypse was coming? She spends years preparing while also losing the ability to live a normal life. She's not just a badass hero, she's a traumatized survivor carrying something that nobody else believes. That's why the Dyson scene is so impactful, because she just wants it all to end, but inevitably breaks down, turning into that scared girl from the first movie. That moment of vulnerability is what keeps her human. Those moments of humanity make her more relatable and keep her likable. If she never showed fear or compassion, she would be no different than the machines that she's fighting against. The movie starts off with John seeing his mom like everyone else. A psycho. But when Arnold shows up, John is forced to believe when he's touching the evidence. And this is only the start to John and Arnold's relationship. I just realized I've been calling him Arnold. John in the T-800... I'm calling him Arnold. Much like a father, Arnold's job is to protect John, no matter what. And John teaches him to be more human, which is just, so much fun to watch.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, or later, dickwad. And if someone gets upset, you say, chill out. Or you could do combinations.
Chill out, dickwad.
That's great, see, you're getting it.
No problemo.
So, I feel like I did a lot of talking about T2, which kind of gives me away, but it's time for the big question. Which movie is better? The answer? Neither. I just want to preference by saying I don't really think those movies are comparable. They are so different. If you enjoy a slower, atmospheric blend of horror and romance with an eerie vibe, you'll probably prefer T1. T2, on the other hand, delivers an adrenaline-fueled action adventure. The vibes are somewhat similar, but overall they're just different movies. Both sell it very well. You may even like the sequel better because watching Arnold play a good guy is just much more entertaining than watching him be the bad guy, or vice versa. Either way, please let me know which movie you prefer in the comments down below. I want to see war. I want to see blood. Please let me know if you agreed with any of these points in the video, or if you didn't. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. Peace. Bye-bye.